Lily, Lucky, and Dusty. They were the first kittens I've ever had, and they grew up to be just like their father Jimmy. They liked to play, they liked to cuddle. I just couldn't resist their affection. One day, Lily and Chamot got pregnant at the same time, and they happened to give birth at the same time as well. Each of them had 6 babies, so that means we ended up with 12 kittens. That was the most amount of cat I've ever had in my life. My dad even hired his friends to make a huge cage to fit all of them. Unfortunately, not all of them managed to survive long. Some of them died due to diseases and infections, but for the rest of them, they managed to stay for about a few months. I don't know if it's just my luck, but all of my cats started to disappear for no reason. One day they just vanished. Even though I loved them, they just gone. I assume some stranger might have taken them, and I couldn't blame them because, well, my cats are quite fluffy and adorable. Who wouldn't want them? Then one day, Dusty died. He was a great cat. I probably loved him the most because he's the most fluffiest and playful of them all. He died in a very tragic accident in front of my house, covered in blood. I will always remember him. Here's a funny story about Lucky. Lucky was named because one day he fell down a drain. We almost didn't realize him, but then I heard a sheer meowing coming from the drain, and it was him. We got him out, and he was lucky to survive, and that's where he got his name, Lucky. Years have passed, and all of my cats started to decrease in number. Some of them were missing, and some of them died. Probably. They just don't show up one day, and I've never seen them since. Until, as I finished my high school, we got a new cat that we adored so very much. It was our cousin's cat, but their kids were allergic, so they gave it to us, and we named him Olaf. Want to know a funny story? We were told that Olaf was a male cat. That's why we named him Olaf. But then one day, out of nowhere, I realized that he doesn't have any of the male equipment. And that's where I realized that Olaf was actually a female. I felt terrible. We felt terrible because she probably thought we were crazy for calling her a boy. So we changed her name to Olivia. But she kinda stuck with Ola, so that's what we called her. She ended up having 4 kittens, but the other 2 died, so we were left with 2 white ones. Here's another not so funny story. This one day, I wanted to clean one of Olaf's kitten's face because they were covered with eye boogers. However, as I carried her in my hands, she kinda struggled a little too hard, which then somehow broke her own ribs because she was breathing very heavily afterwards. We took her to the doctor and he gave some ointment, but sadly she didn't make it. She stopped eating and drinking, then she died. And it was all my fault. So we were left with one white kitten that we named her Pute. She has a goat spirit, by the way. Before Olaf was gone, she had 4 more ginger cats and grew up to be the most adorable quadruplet ever. But I was frustrated that each of them gone missing one by one. I don't know what happened to them, but they just vanished right after another. Then one day, Olaf was gone. My mom told me that she left Olaf outside one day and she just vanished. I was so sad when she's gone. She was practically my little sister. I spent so much time with her. I even saw her grow up. She likes to do all sorts of funny things like playing with the water tap, drinking from a glass, and even playing fetch. We'll miss you, Olaf. Anyways, but they also had 4 kittens, but 2 of them did not last long. They died a few days after they were born. So we were left with 1 white kitten that we named PJ, also known as Putte Jr., and 1 chocolate one that we named Coco. They're still with me to this day. Okay, here's a last story. Right after Putih gave birth, we had her neutered because we don't want any more cats. But when we got her back from the hospital, Putih escaped while we tried to give her medicine. We looked everywhere but couldn't find her. She was probably in a lot of pain after the surgery. That's why she couldn't find her way back. A few months later, my mom and my sister were strolling along the neighborhood next to ours, and they saw a white cat hiding under a car. They thought it was Putih, but just to be sure, they went to have a look. And it was Putih, because we recognized her by her goat beard. So they took her back to the house and she finally reunited with the kittens. However, it wasn't long until we saw Putih's lifeless body on the street. I don't know what happened, but she probably got hit by a car or a motorcycle because we saw blood coming out of her nose. Another one of our precious cat has gone. I said my goodbye to her before my dad buried her forever. So now we were left with 4 cats. Putih Jr., also known as PJ, Coco, Tuti, and Undi. Undi was another story. My parents actually found her on the streets. It was during PRU 15 campaign day where Undi kept sitting beside my sister throughout the voting. She was well behaved, so they took her in and named her Undi after the PRU 15 campaign. The other cats don't like her at first, and they still don't to this day. But she was part of our family now. That's all that matters. So that's all my cat stories. I know this is just a bunch of slideshow of my cats, but I think it's more cuter I show you my cats instead of drawing them. Till next time, bye!